Out of all of the hero talents, the one I was the most excited to learn about was Flameshaper. Now, don't get it twisted, Scale Commander sounds amazing for Aug and Dev, and I'm pretty excited about Chrono Warden, especially for augmentation, but on the preservation side of things, Chrono Warden didn't feel flexible enough for my kind of gameplay. I'd play it either way, and I'm going to test it out no matter what, but I wanted to know what Flameshaper was about, and I'm really excited to talk about this one, so let's dive into it. My name is BowserTheHealer, and if you like healing content, get subscribed. It means a lot to me, or if you like listening to me talk about World of Warcraft, but I've played a little too much preservation, and I've maybe put just a little too much thought into this video. So let's dive in. The first talent node on this hero tree, and I'm just gonna have some gameplay on screen. You don't gotta watch it, but I'll try to put the abilities I'm talking about on screen every time. This first ability that we get in the tree is called Engulf. It's a 20-second cooldown. Engulf your target in Dragon Flame, damaging or healing them. For each of your periodic effects on the target, the effectiveness is increased by 50%. So I assume this might be like a single burst of damage or a burst of healing. Maybe it's a damage or heal over time, but from the sounds of it, it isn't. But I like the sound of that. That synergizes well with Dev and synergizes well with Prez, especially Prez, because we have a ton of different things that we put on a target at once. So we're going to be able to get some pretty big numbers out of this one if I had to imagine. It's important to note that later in the tree, we're going to get 2 stacks of this move, and that'll maybe make some more sense as we go down the tree. And while the tree does look like this, I'll have a picture of it on screen right now. Note that the left side is a little less interesting to the core identity of this spec, so I'm going to focus on all the cool stuff first, and then we'll go over all of it at the end. Right below Engulf is Traveling Flame. Engulf causes Fire Breath or Dream Breath for preservation to spread to a nearby target. If no valid targets are present, its duration is refreshed. Now, just so we're clear, whenever it says preservation only on here, I'm pretty sure it means that we can use the Fire Breath or the Dream Breath effect, whereas Devastation doesn't have Dream Breath, so they can't interact with it that way. However, at the end, the Capstone actually has a Devastation and a Preservation part, in which I think it works very exclusively to Dev and Prez. So this spreading of your Fire Breath or your Dream Breath or refreshing the duration, I actually think is going to be pretty core once you hear the Capstone. That idea of being able to keep a Dream Breath up and running so that you can use it for engulfs and you can use it for other effects is fantastic. Getting it to more allies for healing in case you miss someone, that's going to be really useful. But also in single target, it's not useless. If you're playing on the damage side of things, being able to tell your Fire Breath to keep ticking is, I think, a pretty cool ability. And when you have nothing else to do with your healing, that'll be quite nice. And I know that the Dev players will like that too. This node easily could have been AoE only, so I'm happy that it has compatibility for single target situations. To the right of it is Enkindle. Essence abilities are enhanced with Flame, dealing 20% of healing or damage done as fire over 8 seconds. So I assume this means if you hit a Disintegrate, all 4 ticks will then take 20% of their damage and then tick for fire over 8 seconds. Your Emerald Blossom, right, will have Rot healing attached to its initial burst, which is kind of nice. Does this mean that Echo itself gets the healing buff from Enkindle, or does the heal from the Echo do it? Because one of those sounds kind of weak, one of those sounds unbelievably strong, and I'm curious how that one's going to work out. Below Traveling Flame in the middle is Burning Adrenaline. Engulf quickens your pulse, reducing the cast time of your next spell by 30%. It stacks up to 2 times, and again, we get 2 charges of Engulf, so that makes sense. I like the idea of Burning Adrenaline. This will increase our damage and healing. It'll make us move a bit quicker. But what's so important is that there are times after preservation, you've like done a combo, you've set up, and then you're like hard casting Living Flames, or you're not wanting to waste a resource because you want to quickly heal someone, but you can't really give up your Verdant Embrace just yet, or you shouldn't be Spirit Blooming one target. Don't be lazy. You want to like tip the scales or something. No. Just wait. Burning Adrenaline is going to not only smooth those slower times up, but help us glue the rest of our kit together. When you're in a really serious healing moment and it's a lot of back-to-back heals, Burning Adrenaline is going to allow you to very easily be in the middle of doing stuff. You drop an Engulf to continue your healing or to continue your damage, and then you can move into the next phase of your healing. It sort of helps our combos come together a bit cleaner, and I think that's quite good. To the right of it, Fan the Flames and Expanded Lungs, a choice node. Fan the Flames. Engulf reignites Enkindle, extending the duration and effectiveness by 25%. Expanded Lungs. Fire Breath's damage over time is increased by 20%, and Preservation, in addition, will have its Dream Breath heal over time increased by 20%. These both seem really strong, but Expanded Lungs is the one that I'm the most interested in. as a Mythic Plus player who plays in Pugs. More Fire Breath damage is really good for me. That's more healing from Life Giver's Flame. That's more damage and a lot of flexibility. On the preservation side of it, there's not a lot to talk about, right? Dream Breath doing more healing. Yeah, that's great. We love that. That'll affect our Capstone as well, which is pretty important. If you're curious, does that mean we charge Fire Breath or don't charge Fire Breath now? I just want to know. It's probably going to be a case of, for max damage, you still charge it up for the Leaping Flames. If you're using your Fire Breath to AoE heal, full charging it up is the best way to get a ton of healing. If you want it to provide a consistent heal over time throughout a pull, then setting everything on fire with a level 1 or a level 2 will do a little bit more work for you now. I think overthinking this as a Prez player will probably be a detriment, and we just want to use it similarly to the way we are now, and we're just going to get a bit more benefit from it. Fan the Flames, on the other hand, is probably going to allow a little more damage out of Disintegrate, which is maybe a bit more useful in PvP, but it'll also make a potential Blossom build in Mythic Plus even stronger. There's a Blossom build right now or two that's completely viable in Mythic Plus, and I think something like Fan the Flames will only make that stronger. So there's two different angles to go at for damage here, and while I'm likely to stick to Expanded Lungs, I like the variety. Now, below Burning Adrenalines, Engulfs gaining 1 additional charge and dealing 20% increased damage and healing. We don't have any numbers to play with here, but I assume by them increasing it before we hit level cap in War Within, that probably means that they really want Engulf to be powerful. So I would assume that it's a very chunky move. It's going to feel very strong in our hands. To the right of that talent node is Life Cinders and Draconic Instincts. Life Cinders has Renewing Blaze also apply to a nearby injured ally when cast. I wonder if this is smart detection, like smart healing, or if this is more of it picks a nearest ally, or if we're going to be able to cast it on an ally and we get Renewing Blaze, similar to the way that PI works right now. In Draconic Instincts, your wounds have a small chance to cauterize, healing you for 30% of the damage taken. Occurs more often from attacks that deal high damage. Which one's better here? Life Cinders is probably better in PvP and in Mythic Plus. Draconic Instinct is going to be really good in Raid, especially for dev players that are going to want to just be a little bit tankier, get a little bit more health and not have to think about it. That's going to be good. I like both these talents. They seem very strong, and Life Cinders in Mythic Plus is going to be very, very powerful. Now, onto the Capstone. This is a fun one. I'll start with Prez, but they're the exact same, just for different moves. Preservation's Engulf consumes 8 seconds of Dream Breath from the target, detonating it and healing all nearby targets equal to 300% of the amount consumed. And then Devastation's is the exact same, but it's 8 seconds of Fire Breath and it's dealing damage. Both of these are reduced beyond 5 targets, probably to keep them from being super duper broken in Raid. I love this. This is a very fun way to play, and I want you to think about some of the other talents that are working into this. Traveling Flame is going to allow our Engulf to spread our Dream Breath. So when a Dream Breath is running out, we can spread it to another target. We can refresh the duration on another target or on the target that has Dream Breath and continue using that target to use Engulfs to consume flames and do some bonus healing. So this means we can extend a combo even further into our other combos with Engulf. That's going to allow a flexibility and granularity to healing that I think is excellent. Devastation players, you let me know what we're doing with Engulf, but it sounds fun to me. More Fire Breath damage, more explosions, yay, best of luck with your threat. But I, all in all, really like these. Now, the 3 I missed, let's go over them real quick. On the left side at the top, we got Trailblazer in Shape of Flame. Trailblazer makes Hover and Deep Breath travel 50% faster, which sounds hysterical with Deep Breath, and Hover travels 50% further. Shape of Flame, Tail Swipe, and Wing Buffet scorch enemies and blind them with Ash, causing their next attack within 4 seconds to miss. So these both sound strong in their respective elements. Shape of Flame probably more in PvP and Mythic Plus. Definitely Mythic Plus, while Trailblazer, I could see myself running that in Raid. I wouldn't really want to run it in Dungeons though, because I don't want my Hover going that much further. I kind of want to know exactly how far I'm dashing. That's how you butt pull a pack that you're not trying to grab. But there are times in Raid where I need to get to the other side of the arena, and Trailblazer would be super helpful. Shape of Flame, Tailswipe, and Wing Buffet, they kind of only work on mobs that are CCable in the first place, which is why I tend to think that this might be more of a Mythic Plus or PvP talent, and it'll just be reducing some damage whenever you do use CC. Seems kind of niche, but still useful, and why not? You're going to get all these talent nodes anyway, so cool. I like it. Conduit of Flames, critical strike chance against targets above 50% health is increased by 10%. We already like crit as dev, we like crit as prez. Crit is a good thing. Not only is this good for reverse execute damage on Devastation, because Giant Killer is still a really good mastery even if we don't stat for it, this means as long as people haven't taken catastrophic amounts of damage, you're going to have an easier time healing them when they're above half health. It's subtle, but it's good. And when you imagine this on top of a 25-35% haste, or critical strike, excuse me, imagine 45% critical strike chance baseline if they're above 50% health. That's almost a coin toss for if they get double healing. That's awesome. And then Titanic Precision, Living Flame Reversion, and Azure Strike critical strikes have a 100% increased chance to trigger Essence Burst. Okay, Blizzard does this two ways. Either this is Living Flame's 20% chance becomes a 40% chance, Reversion's 15 becomes a 30, and Azure Strike's 15 becomes a 30 on Devastation. That could be how it works. It could mean that they all get a 100% chance to trigger an Essence Burst when they crit. I'm going to assume it's the prior and not the latter here, and Azure Strike doesn't give you Essence Burst on Preservation, so I would imagine that 100% bonus to 0% is still 0%. However, they could shock me, and every single crit we get gets an Essence Burst, and then we're all going to be running Exhilarating Burst. So looking at all of these, how does it fit together? Extending combos, keeping your combos rolling, keeping a Dream Breath up. I love that. I think that's going to be good in Raid. I think that's going to be good in Mythic Plus. It's going to add another layer of difficulty and precision. However, it doesn't add so in a way that like this is a new core part of our kit. It feels like it's a really cool way to continue interacting with the baseline kit we already had. And I think that's my biggest takeaway about hero talents. So far, at least on the evoker side of things, the hero talents seem to be emphasizing what we already do and allowing us to really lean in and push evoker further. But the initial skill curve is still there. For augmentation and devastation, it doesn't sound like it's going to get too more unnecessarily complicated, although that remains to be seen on the augmentation side of things. But for preservation, this does make it a tad more difficult. Granted, I think if you're a new player picking up preservation, Engulf only enhances all of the things that you're going to be doing baseline. So I don't think it's a lot to stack, but there's going to be a very extreme level of mastery of preservation, not its actual mastery. That's going to be impressive watching players use these skills to their fullest potential. I think it sounds really fun. And also thematically, Enkindle kind of made me think about this, but if Flameshaper adds these fire effects to our green and even our blue spells like our Disintegrate, whoo, that's going to be cool. I really want to see what that looks like. The aesthetic of fire, more fire within our already wild array of fire effects and green effects and all that sounds peak fantasy to me. And I'm looking forward to how they implement it, but we'll have to wait for an alpha or something like that to get our hands on it. And hopefully Blizzard gives me alpha access, because I would be incredibly happy to check it out and share it all with you. I need to know your comments though down below. Hero talents I've been a little quiet on. If you want to see me talk about Chrono Warden and Scale Commander, please do. Although for Scale Commander, Preheat has an excellent video on that one, so if you're of the DPS mind, might want to go check out his video. But I'll go over Chrono Warden and Preservation and Augmentation if you'd like me to. Let me know. Hit me up in that comment section, and I hope you all enjoyed. Take care, friends, and I will see you all next time.